Okay, so first of all, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Um, do you remember when your interest for blues music started?
Yeah. In fact, it's a long story, but I try to make it as short as possible. I was born as a young child, 3 years old, 4 years old. I started with the classical music, Bach, Mozart, Chopin, Rachmaninoff, Verdi, opera, Corelli, Vivaldi. And then I started to sing, and I listened to the radio when I was 4 years old, 5 years old. And then the American troops that were stayed in West Germany after the Second World War. And so they had American Forces Network, AFN, so they speak all the time American and they played American music from Germany, and we could hear it from Germany. So I listened to that in that country, and I liked the country very much. So I started to sing country. And because of the classical music, I started to study violin, something different, nothing to do with country music. Oh well, sometimes they play a kind of American way of feeling play. And then, when I was grammar school, we call it here gymnasium, and a friend of mine who was in my class, he brought me 3 or 4 LPs. By the time CDs didn't exist at that moment. So he gave it and I listened to it, which was old American blues, 1989.
Do you remember which artist?
And then I thought, yeah, that's... And I had kind of voice, maybe somewhere the black blood in my blood. But I have a Negro style voice, and I thought, well, that's that was nice. Then I started singing the blues, and I got a guitar, and learned myself playing guitar. And then it started. Maybe I was 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, maybe that. And then I started to read, they got me, baby, right on. Yeah. And so I started blues band. And later, this was first at the grammar school, and then, I must say it right, because I started the blues band. 2 of them are after 2 LPs. The producer said, Tony Vos from Decca, he said, well, Oscar, the drums is not okay. I said, oh, well, yeah. I said, yeah, it's really, so I said to him, sorry, but they don't like it, and I have to ask you to leave. Yeah. And the bass, and I liked they didn't like the bass player, so I said to him right away, well, and for you it's the same. So then I got another bass player, another drummer, and then his brother, the piano player, was the first one I know. 53 years ago, he's dead, yeah. And then I got another drummer, another bass player, and then his brother on the guitar, and later he was joining me playing the guitar. And he is still, after 50 years, 48 years ago.
48 years.
And the piano player 53 years, and well, most of them around about 50 years ago. And I started the blues band.
How do you then look back at those beginning years of the band?
Well, I started first listening to the Beatles, and I started playing guitar Beatles songs, but it was very difficult, I thought. And my brother, Gus Laporte, he played with Oscar, and I thought, wow, nice music to play guitar with. So I started not anymore the Beatles, and I started playing the blues, only 3 chords. Not simple, but and at that time Oscar had a changing in his band, and the drummer had to leave, and at the gig in Dortmund, I went with the band, and then they started playing with the new drummer, but it was not like he liked it. So he said, okay, we've got to change. The bass player goes drumming, Gus, my brother, goes playing the bass, and he said, Johnny, come over here. Okay, what's the matter, man? He said, you're going to play guitar. So I played in Dortmund, a very big place, thousands of people. And I started there playing the blues with Oscar, and it never ended. Until now, we're still blues playing friends.
So what age were you then when you met each other?
I think I was 19 when I started with,
I think so.
Do you remember what your first impression then was of each other?
My first impression
Yeah.
at that moment?
Yeah.
Well, I was great. I thought I was in heaven, like.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. It was, we only played for 2.5 years together, and it was a very rough time. I mean, very many places we went to, Germany and all over Holland. And that was in
Germany.
1973. Oscar, he said, I quit with the band, and I go with solo. He went solo, singing with Monica, right?
A singer, a female singer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had two big hits, especially in Germany. Yeah.
And when we quit the band, then 4 members of the Oscar Benton Blues Band, they started Barrel House. So Oscar always says, Barrel House, that's my band.
And it is, it still is, yeah.
So, how do you look back on sort of the 70s then? That's when your music, your hit, Bensonhurst Blues.
I recorded it 71. It's an American song from 2 Jewish Americans, and they recorded it with 6 or 7 famous Americans. But they said, well, it sounds American. Yeah, of course, that when you are American, then you speak American. Yeah. So, but it doesn't sound Hebrew. You know what Hebrew is? Jewish. And then in Holland, then I came to another record company, EMI, and that producer, Tim Creek, he started with Monica, the 2 songs I told you, and the Bensonhurst Blues, and then he sent it to them, and they said, this is it, that sounds Hebrew and American. And then it's 10 years, almost 10 years, about 9 years later, Alain Delon, the French movie actor, producer, a friend of him told him, I have heard a song, maybe that's something for your new movie. That was the movie Pour la peau d'un flic. And then Alain Delon, he heard it, he said, yes! And then it became a #1 hit in France. And then later on they spread it around, and in Russia, in China, and it's unbelievable. They were very communist countries at that time. It's still that they are, because we were there not a couple of months ago in Czechia and in Romania. and in
Istanbul.
Istanbul, is Turkey. That's different. But that's about the story. And then he started in the movie, and that became a worldwide hit. That movie and the record as well.
Were you surprised then because it took?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was going out of itself. It's unbelievable, but it's truth. So I said, well, that's okay.
What does that song mean to you? Because I saw you record, or I heard you recorded it again for the new album.
Sorry, what?
You have recorded the song again for the new
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
What does that
Totally
song,
different
yeah.
way. You've heard it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you like it?
I like it. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
It's almost a Johann Sebastian Bach composition, arrangement. The two celli, and I speak it, don't sing it, speak it, low, so it's totally different. But we thought, you never know. They can like it.
it was because V2, the record company, they asked us to do Bensonhurst Blues one more time on this album. I said, no, we don't do that, because it's such a big hit. It's so good already. It's very difficult to make a new arrangement. And after a month, I thought, well, I'm going to try, but completely different. And it's, it's
It sounds different.
Yeah, it sounds very different.
You heard it.
Yeah, and I let Oscar sing, now speak
Yeah.
in the mic, as if he was talking to you in your ear, whispering. And the company liked it, and they made that song, that version, the first single for this album, a couple of weeks ago.